Everyone. So our first case study is on loan risk analysis. So this is the description of our case study on loan risk analysis. So the problem statement is that imagine that you have been hired by a fintech company as a data analyst, and your role is to evaluate the profile of individual customer, understand how much risk is involved with each customer, and then based on certain score you need to decide whether to offer them a loan or not, or whether to approve the loan or not, or whether to decline the loan. Now, as an analyst, you have already created some kind of like a statistical model, let's say logistic regression, and you have created some mathematical expression, and that mathematical expression will give you a score for individual customer, and then, as I said, like based on that score, you will decide whether to offer them a loan or not. Now, in order to work on those case study, we will use the Jupyter notebook and some of the Python concepts such as list, dictionary, loops, if else, and functions. Now, for this case study, I am using a very small data set, like a very small data set, which has only 10 observations, as you can see on the screen, and which has 5 columns like customer ID, credit score, balance owed, total open loans, and hard inquiry. So let's understand individual record. So the first observation is saying that customer ID has 101. So this customer ID would be unique to each customer, and it's saying that for the customer ID 101, this person has a credit score of 675, and this person is owing the balance of $1,000. Now this balance could be a combination of his balance in some kind of a loan, some other loans like auto loan or education loan, some other loans which he have already taken, or it also includes some of the balances in his credit cards. Then total open loans means that how many loans have been open. Again, this total open loans will count both his existing loans, maybe some auto loan or maybe some credit card accounts which he already have opened. And the hard inquiry means that how many times recently the bureau or some kind of a credit bureau has opened his credit profile to understand about his background, about his financial background. So we can see that for customer ID 101, there are 5 hard inquiry, there is 1 total open loans, the balance owed to that open loan is $1,000, and currently his credit score is 675. Now let's get started about your task. Now I hope that you have understood the data. Now based on the data, we will go through some of the steps. So the first step is to create 5 lists from the above data. So as you can see that we have 5 columns: customer ID, credit score, balance owed, total open loans, and hard inquiry. For individual column, you will create their own individual list. For an example, I have already created 2 lists for you, the customer ID and the credit underscore. Similarly, you will create the other 3 lists or other 3 columns, which is balance owed, total open loans, and hard inquiry. So in your Python code, you have to create the next 3 list, which is balance owed, total open loans, and the hard inquiry. So once you created all the 5 lists, the next step is to create the probability score for each of those 10 customers. So let's say you have already built some kind of a mathematical expression using logistic regression. Now this mathematical expression, which is probability score equal to credit score plus balance owed, this mathematical expression you will use to calculate the score for each of the 10 customers. So in order to do this thing, you can use the loop to iterate all the 10 customers and then calculate the probability score for each of them, and then store their probability score in a different list or in a new list, or you can say is the 6th list you will create. So your output of the task should look like below. So let's say you have created a new list or a 6th list called prop underscore score underscore list, and inside the list you have stored all the 10 probability scores of the customers. So for example 0.5 is the probability score for a first customer. 0.4 is the probability score for the next customer. So in this way you will create a 6th list which will store the probability score, and this probability score will be calculated based on this equation, and you can see all those variables we have already created in the list. So you can use this expression to calculate the scores. Now, once you have calculated the score for all the 10 customers, so the next step is to understand based on that score whether to approve the loan or not. Now, in order to understand the score, you will use all those if and else statements. So, for example, you will check first if anybody's credit score is less than 650, you will deny it. You will decline the loan. You will not even check the probability score. But if somebody's score is greater than 800 and their probability score is greater than 0.9, then you will approve the loan for that customer, and so on. So you will use these rules to figure out whether to approve or deny the loan. And your output of the task should look like below. So you will create a new list, let's say the 7th list, which is called decision. And inside the decision, you will store the approved or denied for all the 10 customers. And as a hint, you can use the loop, for loop, or a while loop, and if and else statements. So loop you can use to iterate all the 10 customers, and then if and else you can use whether to deny or approve the loan, and this if and else you can use from this particular 4 rules what I've created. So once you have created all the 7 lists, now the next part is to create the dictionary from those 7 lists. So you can use this sample example to create the dictionary for those 7 lists. I have already included 2 lists for you, customer ID, and for the other 5 you can just enter one below the other, and in this way you will create the dictionary for those 7 lists. And the final part of this case study is to find out how many number of applicants or customer we have approved the loans and how many we have denied the loans. So since we have 10 customer, as a sample output, how the output should look like, you will print out how many have been approved, let's say equal to 7, and 3 have been denied. And the last step would be to print the details of those customer for the approved loans, and similarly you print the details of the customers for the declined loans. And as a sample output, I want to see the output should look like in this way, that customer ID is 104 and its score is 0.27, so loan is declined. Similarly, I can say that, hey, customer ID is 107 and its score is 1, so loan is approved. So in this way you will print out the details of the customers for both the approved loan as well as for the declined loans. Thank you.